Dinky is a podcast where two pals just won't shut the F up about being child-free and the Dink lifestyle. I'm Erica, and I don't have kids because they're always making art. And where am I supposed to put that? On my fridge? On a wall? No. No, thank you.
I like how before we recorded, you were like, do you have a reason you don't have kids? And I said, yes. And then you didn't think of one. And then you also spent like a week with a child. So I would think you would have 1,000 reasons.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I know, but
agree.
maybe one day she'll listen to this and I don't want to, call her out specifically. But I will. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Like, I think you should. Whatever. I mean, you got multiple nieces, so who knows which one is which?
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, I am Kristen, and I don't have kids because what if I had a boy? That's it.
Would you like to expand on that, or that's it? I actually think we've done that one before, but that's fine. Evergreen.
I honestly wondered if you did the artwork one too, so...
Well, I don't think I have, but listeners, let us know.
Can I also say that I've been thinking about that, like what if I had a boy? Because I would no offense to the boys listening who are the real ones, but I'd throw myself out a window if I was pregnant with a boy. And it's true. It's true. I have no defense for how strongly I feel this way or why I strongly feel this way. I just know that women are better in many ways. And then just today on Threads, I saw somebody had said, I work in healthcare, and I want you to know that if you have one girl, you are richer than if you had 3 boys. So implying that she works in healthcare and girls tend to step up, take care of the family, help out a lot more than if you had many boys. And so I just thought that corroborated this feeling I've been feeling again recently. So that's it.
Today we're talking with someone with a fascinating career, Rachael Eckles. Rachael is the author of the Celeste Donovan series, which blends the high-stakes thriller and romantic suspense genres. As an Indiana native, Rachael moved to New York City after law school, having made the decision to build a child-free life in a city that always excited her. There, she worked in the finance industry, which was her inspiration for this series. Rachael's passion for storytelling and paying it forward led her to establish the publishing company Aphrodite Books. It's dedicated to amplifying the voices of women authors and supporting nonprofits that are empowering women and communities globally through its foundation, Aphrodite Gives. We can't wait to get into the conversation, but first, we need to dink ourselves!
Dink ourselves!
A dink is a dual income, no kid household. So naturally, we are making bad choices with our disposable income. In this weekly segment, we chat through the frivolous and ridiculous purchases or hobbies that we couldn't afford if we had kids. Kristen, you were just saying on the phone before we started this episode that you have been dinking yourself aggressively. How have you been badunking your badonkadonk?
Well, Erica, as we discussed on the phone, it sounds like we're in similar positions because you and I both applied for our first jobs without talking to each other in less than 24 hours. In part because we are very nervous these days about how our money is disappearing. And listen, I think, I can't speak for you, but from my understanding is you've been doing a pretty good job of budgeting. You got your YNAB app. Mm-hmm. You need a budget app.
I'm trying. Yeah.
And I've just been reckless, to be honest. I think part of it is because I don't have any friends here yet. It's me and my husband all day, every day. And I just need some kind of dopamine hit, to get me feeling like I'm alive. And we have no plans to travel except go to Germany and Prague in 4 days. So I should be fine. I shouldn't be buying anything, but I do. And so therefore I applied for my first job as a part-time cheesemonger at the local store near me. So waiting to hear back if they're going to take a chance on little old me. In the meantime, I've been burning holes in my credit card, which include a baby pink KitchenAid stand mixer, which I certainly did not need, but
You are
wanted. And
crazy.
that is the worst one. That's the worst one, but the other one's also very bad. So that's part one. I
Okay.
love it. It brings me joy. And I, as someone who has owned now 3 KitchenAid stand mixers in my life, I can tell you that they bring me enough joy that it was worth the investment. And the other thing is, you need
I'm
to.
having a stroke.
I know you are, and I don't even want to hear it because I know you don't like your KitchenAid stand mixer the way I like my KitchenAid stand mixer. So you know what? You can buzz off right now. Second of all, I know from firsthand experience, you got to get the color that makes your heart sing. And I was so tempted to get the cheaper ones that were colors I didn't like, but I know from experience, you're going to regret it. So I went with the very, very expensive baby pink one. I love it. It brings me joy. My whole house is pink and green. Those are like my themes in Ireland.
Wicked.
It's a lot of pink and a lot of green. Oh, shut up. Is it?
Yeah. Famously.
Ew!
Famously the colors of Wicked. I will say you are correct about the colors thing because that is the one saving grace of our kitchen stand mixer, which I actually did use the other day. But the fact that I like the way that it looks makes it worthwhile given that I never use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How often do you
What
use
did
your
you?
KitchenAid?
Well, surprisingly a decent amount. Because I love, I'm trying to get back into baking now that I have no job. So there's going to be baking in my future. I just did some baking for Thanksgiving. And I definitely for the holidays, but also for chicken. It's a lifesaver for chicken because you bake the chicken breast and then you put it in with the paddle attachment for anybody listening. I saw this on TikTok. It was a hack and it saved my life. And you put it at the chicken breast into the paddle attachment KitchenAid bowl, and you put it on high speed, and it shreds it, so it becomes like shredded chicken, which we use a lot for like soups and tacos and things like that. So trying to think if there's any other use cases. I mean, yeah, I've made other things with it before. I've had the ice cream attachment. I've had the pasta attachment, but I'm not going to do that. I just want it for baking mostly and for chicken. And yes, there's 100 other options that are way cheaper, but I loved it.
I love that Kristen's like, oh, I got to do this now that I don't have a job. Guys, Kristen every single day texts me and is like, I'm so busy. I'm so busy.
I know. Well, here's the thing too, is my class for my semester ends right before basically we go to Germany. And so when I get back, I have a month off. So I have for a month, I'm going to actually be almost like I'm retired. So I'm really looking forward to baking. And then, which
Except
leads me to my second think myself.
Mm.
What? Except what?
I was going
Except
to
what?
say,
I have a
except that
job
you're
with
going to get
you.
this fucking cheese job.
And then I'm going to get the cheese job.
Yeah, and this.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Fucking kill me. But I think it's good. It's for the investment of our future. It's like you and I are going to open a cheese shop one day. So I need to learn about cheese,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You ready for my second thing myself?
Mm-hmm.
What's like my only hobby?
Video games?
Pop quiz. Good job. Video games. So, I was missing one thing that I didn't need that I bought today on a Black Friday sale because I have a Steam Deck. I have a Nintendo Switch. There's something else that I was missing. Any guesses?
Steam Deck. A PlayStation?
That's correct. A PlayStation 5.
Wow,
Didn't have
look at
it.
me.
You passed the best friend
Yay!
test. Good job.
Yeah, everyone who thinks that we hate each other, what now?
This wasn't scripted at all.
What now?
No cuts. I swear. No edits. Vince,
I
no
even know
edits.
about the different types of stations.
You do. And I'm really impressed. So,
Thank you.
I did break my PlayStation 4 right before I left the United States. You don't remember this? It was a disaster because I had been playing, what's that Japanese one with the swords and the samurai? There's a sequel out now. The Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima. And I had played like 2/3 of it, and I was trying to back it up so that I could bring it with me to Ireland and somehow play it in Ireland, and in the process broke my entire PS4 and lost all of my game history.
Oh my god.
So,
Oh
yeah.
no.
It's fine. It's fine. I love that game. I would play it again, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, I got a PS5 on Black Friday. So
Nice.
between the KitchenAid stand mixer and the new PlayStation, I dropped, I don't know, what is that, like 800 euros? So
Jesus Christ, woman.
exactly. That's why I applied for a job.
Yeah,
Because
that
I
makes
am
sense.
out of control. I'm out of control. Okay, this is the longest dink yourself ever. How did you dink yourself?
How did I dink myself? I'll give two also, since you gave two. The first one is a time one, and that is we hosted my in-laws for Thanksgiving, and we had a very strict rule about nobody else is allowed in the kitchen. We're going to do all the cooking and cleaning. And everybody was so worried about us. They were like, "Do you need any help? Do you need any help in the kitchen? Do you need any help cleaning the dishes?" And I was like, "Look." And my mother-in-law specifically was like, "I feel so guilty. I feel so guilty. I feel like I'm not doing enough." And I was like, "Bitch, you are always taking care of your grandchild. You're always running around doing everything for everyone else. My life is very easy and very relaxing. I can do these dishes." And I was like, also, you need to remember, I got my headphones on. I'm in my happy little space. I'm in here alone. please, please, please just go away.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me be in peace and quiet.
Yeah. And so, yeah, one dink yourself was just being able to give my sister-in-law, who is a really great single mom, and my parents-in-law just a nice, relaxing Thanksgiving where they got to go in the hot tub, they got to do no work, they got to just chill out for a couple days. So that's one dink yourself. My second dink yourself is have you ever bought anything from Quince?
Yes. Oh no, I haven't, but I know of it because Nikki Glazer was repping Quince.
Oh, Quince, this is not an ad. I haven't worn the sweaters yet, so don't take my word for it yet. But Quince is a weird brand that sells everything for very cheap, like literally everything in the world. I don't know why they went into the business of making everything.
Mm-hmm.
But they I saw in I hear you typing. What
I
are you
just want to make
typing?
sure I'm not spreading lies because I'm pretty
Oh.
sure she was really repping Quince.
Oh, okay. What was it? Like a sweater or bedding
No,
or
she
jewelry?
she was like sponsored by that. I thought it was
Oh,
Quince, but now
a
I'm
lot
like
of
Googling it.
podcasts. A lot of
Yeah, I don't
podcast
know.
sponsors. I mean, a lot of Quince sponsors a lot of podcasts. Is what I'm trying to
Okay,
say.
so maybe it is, but I can't find anything on the internet.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
So I saw on Wirecutter that they were saying that Quince has good quality cashmere sweaters for pretty cheap. And because we're going to Germany and Prague soon, you keep warning me about how fucking cold it's going to be. I was like, my one cashmere sweater that I have has a little hole, not very visible, but you never know what could happen. So I was like, I might as well get another sweater. So I went to go buy another sweater. I think they were like $60, which is pretty good for cashmere. But then I was like, well, I can't decide between these two colors, and I am going to Germany, so I might as well just buy two new cashmere sweaters. So I bought two, even though my YNAB is a fucking disaster right now,
Oh no.
which is also why I must apply for jobs.
So tell the folks what jobs you applied for.
I've only applied for one, but it was for the Department of Justice in Oregon as a legal assistant. So really, you and I have said we're never working in our former roles again. So let's see if we can get something different that is indicative of our future careers.
Yeah.
Which hopefully will give us more joy than going back to a job that we fucking hate.
That's the thing. Yeah, I'm proud of us because if we're going to seek out employment for monies, let's at least try to progress a career change, and maybe we hate it, maybe we don't do it, maybe we say fuck it and we go back eventually, but like we got to give it our all.
Yeah. And for listeners, just know we're only applying for part-time jobs. The one fear I have is that as soon as I see how low the paycheck is going to be,
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, this isn't even fucking worth it.
Same. I'm going to be like, fuck this. Also, like, even on the application, they're like, this job requires like heavy lifting. Are you okay with heavy lifting? And I put yes. And I was like, I'm not okay with heavy lifting. If you're the job hirer, don't listen
She
to
loves lifting heavy things.
I love heavy lifting. But truly, like if I'm getting paid minimum wage, the Irish taxes are really atrocious for individual workers. It's good on companies, but like typical workers have horrible tax rates. So I'm going to be getting paid pennies, so unless I enjoy it. And that's the thing. We have to do it because we hope to enjoy it, right? And if we enjoy it, then it's worth it. And it leads to other career opportunities in the related field that we hopefully would get more money.
Totally.
We're
It's
step
low
laddering
stakes.
into a new.
It's low stakes, exactly.
Mhm.
The job I applied for is specifically for the criminal justice department of the Department of Justice. So I'm like, this is going to be fascinating.
Right. So my husband and I joke that you are interviewing for ICE. So twist of fate, breaking news. Erica is actually applying to be part of
Be an
ICE.
ICE agent. Not true. Could never be true. Fuck ICE every day. But if you're my future employer, no, still fuck ICE.
Truly. Fuck ICE. I am on Quince's website looking at their cashmere sweaters. Do you know like what percentage cashmere these are? I'm curious.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. It doesn't say.
Wow. This one, it says crafted from 100% Mongolian baby cashmere. What the fuck is a baby cashmere?
It's one that's just a real baby. I'm a baby cashmere.
What is that, dude? For the
Let's find out.
record, this one that I'm looking at, the baby cashmere, is $199. Traditional retail would be $2,150.
Wow. Baby cashmere can only be gathered when the kid is less than a year old.
So like the baby goat?
Yeah.
Is that like humane? Is that fine? Is it ethical?
I mean, I think it's the same thing that we talked about before. It's like, yeah, they're a little stressed, but like I said why have we talked about goats this fucking much on this podcast? This is a goat podcast now.
I don't know. Well, we did talk about kids, so it's like, which kid are we talking about? I don't know.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I think they get a little stressed for being sheared, but also I think they need to be sheared.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a lose-lose.
Do goats need to be sheared? Now I'm confused.
Oh, wow, this is even better. You don't shear cashmere or cashgora producing goats. Instead, you comb or pluck the fiber once a year. So they're just giving them a little brush out, a little blowout.
Once a year. I thought you were talking about once they were a year. So baby cashmere is like illegal in that they collect it before a year.
No, they just do it once a year, you freak.
No, and now I understand. I first heard it differently.
Okay. Their soft undercoat is harvested by hand through combing or brushing, as shearing can remove the valuable down along with the coarse guard hairs and leave the goat vulnerable to cold. Cashmere goats naturally shed their downy undercoat in the spring, which is the ideal time to collect it without harming or mixing it with the less valuable guard hair. Wow,
Whoa.
come for the child-free content, stay to learn about
Wait,
cashmere goat shearing.
I don't wanna move on quite yet because I Googled this because I was like, "How warm even is cashmere?" Right? Because you always hear about, like, wool being warm, and so I Googled, "How warm is cashmere compared to wool?" The AI overview, cashmere is warmer than wool because its finer fibers trap more air, providing superior insulation, with some sources stating it can be up to 8 times warmer than merino wool.
Whoa! Is it as good in water?
No, cashmere you have to dry clean. Wool
But
you can usually hand wash.
actually, this cashmere you don't have to. You can hand wash it.
Oh, okay.
They're not supposed to wash it that much. Okay, so this says neither is universally better. Cashmere is preferred for its superior softness, warmth, and lightweight feel, while while wool. I love my wood sweater. While wool is more durable and better suited for performance wear, especially in wet conditions. The better fabric depends on your priorities. Cashmere is a luxury choice for comfort, while wool is a practical choice for ruggedness and versatility.
Yeah. And also my wood sweater keeps me warm because when I light myself on fire, I feel really warm in wood. One nice thing too about wool is that, like, it is supposed to be like wicker, like sweat
That's what I
wicking.
was trying to say. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's better for, like, if you're trying not to be smelly like us after 8 days of traveling.
Yeah. Do you want to know the pros and cons of cashmere and wool?
I
These are going to
mean,
shock
hit
you.
me. Hit
All
me.
right. Cashmere pros extremely soft, lightweight, and warmer than wool, about 3 times warmer. Three
Wait.
times.
Oh, okay. All right. I just read up to 8 in the last AI overview, depending on the
Oh,
source. So somewhere between 3 and 8.
yeah. It is also hypoallergenic for those sensitive to lanolin. I don't know what that is. Do you?
No.
Okay. Well, I don't feel like Googling anything else. Cons less durable than wool and requires delicate care to prevent damage or pilling. Does not retain warmth when wet. That's that's key.
Mm, mm,
Best for luxurious items like sweaters, scarves, and other delicate garments where softness is the
mm,
main priority.
mm.
That's one thing I don't like about wool is it's not soft. My tender skin needs the softness of cashmere.
Right. Yeah, the thing with cashmere for me is like wool, like I can wear my wool sweater over and over. I can wear my wool sweater for like months and it never smells. Whereas like
Yeah,
cashmere, it's like I wear it a couple times, like my deodorant smell gets on the armpit, like it like, like
yeah. And then the pros for wool, highly durable and rugged, ideal for active wear and everyday wear. It retains warmth even when wet and can absorb up to 30% of its weight in water while still insulating.
wow.
Merino wool, a type of sheep's wool, is also soft and non-itchy. Cons can be less soft than cashmere and may feel itchy, even if it is not fine grade wool. It is often also generally heavier than cashmere. Best for outdoor activities and situations where durability and moisture wicking performance are important. Wow, can you imagine layering cashmere on top of wool? You'd probably
I was
die
just
of
thinking that.
heat
I was just
exhaustion.
thinking that. No, that's exactly what I'm going to do for Berlin, and that's exactly what you should do. I'm not kidding, dude. It's going to be so cold. And I only have merino wool, and I have a bunch of cashmere sweaters um and button ups, so like cardigans. But they're bulky. That's the problem too. It's like how many can you bring on like a trip? When you're only bringing
Yeah,
like
I will
carry
say
on.
I do like that about the Quince sweaters
Hmm.
is they're pretty thin, so I think
Okay.
they're gonna bundle pretty
That's
nicely.
good. Yeah, mine are pretty bulky, so I will say what I haven't packed yet, which is unlike me because I've been
I
so
have not
busy.
either.
So I got to do all my laundry and my oh man, quick divergence. I know we have ADHD. I keep meaning to send you this pic slash video because I never feel as Irish as when I do my laundry.
Mm.
Like
Are you hanging it to
I
dry?
no, there is
Oh.
a washer and dryer that's shared across like 3 apartments. But I have to walk outside. I have to walk outside into like a covered outhouse where they have a washer and dryer from like the 90s. And walking outside, it's quintessential Ireland. Like there's stone walls everywhere. You're like there's like moss and like in like wooden boards that are dilapidated from like the 1400s. Like everything is old, damp, and green and rocky. And you're like, whoa! Like I was in Dublin, like when I was in the front of my house, and now I go to the back of my house, and I am
In
in
the
a village
rural,
from the
yeah.
1700s.
Ooh, I love that. Are you seeing people hang their laundry out to dry?
No, but you know what? It's winter, so it's raining and
Oh,
it's,
that makes sense. Okay. Well, you're gonna have to
yeah.
let me know if in like the spring and summer people are hanging
Oh,
their
I'm
stuff to
sure.
dry.
I'm sure. Yeah. Not many people have dryers, but maybe in Ireland it's different.
I love that for you.
Thank you.
Well,
All
well,
right,
when
have we
we come
babbled
back,
enough?
we're gonna do this fucking interview.
Let's do it.
Rachel, we're so excited to have you here today. Thank you for joining us on Dinky.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to chat. I love your pod.
Thanks.
Yay.
Well, let's just go ahead and dive right in. I would love to just start with talking to you about how you arrived at your stance on being child free. Like, did you have a process of kind of interrogating the normative narrative of motherhood? What was your path?
Great question. And I think I'll give you a little bit of what was going on in my 20s to kind of frame out how I'm now 45 and very staunchly child free. I was in grad school and law school for most of my 20s. I was working all the time. There was no real time for introspection or mapping out what I wanted my life to look like after school. And when I was coming to the end of my journey with grad school and law school, I started having dreams about this little girl. And I would wake up and I would have this like overwhelming sense of love, like I've never experienced for another human being. So I thought for a little while that that was kind of my signal from the universe, if you will, that I was supposed to be a mother and this was my daughter. And I was sort of foreseeing the future. Through a really interesting turn of events, my long term relationship had ended. I was very clear that I did not want to marry or reproduce with this person. And I had a health scare, a pretty significant one. And in that time period, it was about 4 months, I decided that I wanted to fulfill my dream of living in New York City. So I moved from the Midwest, where everyone, after you go to grad school, you get a nice job and a nice husband and you have some nice kids and a dog. And I was like, my heart is really calling me to do something completely out of the norm from where I grew up. So I made a decision. I think I was 30, it was in August. I made a decision. I was moving to New York City. I had a job by November and I moved in January. And I really knew at that time, I think that that was me closing that chapter or possibility of having a family. And when I got to New York and started living my life here, I realized that motherhood wasn't my journey and that my journey was more on the philanthropic side of how I could help women and girls in different ways. And I wanted to have I don't want to say bigger, I wanted to have a different impact than you have when you're a mother. So when you're a mother, it seems all consuming. When I watch my sister and my friends, you are very consumed about the well being of a couple of children. I figured out from my personality that that was going to be a little too much and not exactly what I envisioned for my life. So I kind of looked at it from the 30,000-foot view of how can I contribute to my legacy in a way that is helping women and girls have access to education, have access to sanitary napkins, have access to, to equal pay versus how can I raise this one child to, be healthy and happy. So for me, it was really a matter of I had been, I always joke that I was a mother at 7. My mom got really sick when I was little, so I raised my sister. And I just really felt like that time period had ended, and that if I chose motherhood, I was going to be spending my entire life taking care of one or two people. And I wanted to have a different kind of impact. So for me, it was really an evolution, and it was never a, a moment where I woke up and I was like, I hate children. I don't want them. For me, it was more, this is not my path. And I realized, I'm going to sound a little woo woo, but I realized that the dream wasn't about a child. It was about me reparenting myself and me birthing this new journey. So I did know through that evolution and through the move and what my life became that being child free was a better path for me.
I do just have to ask really quick, did you go to grad school and law school?
Yeah, I have a master's in philosophy.
Oh my gosh, girl.
Yeah. You know what's so funny? I'll tell you a quick funny story. So I like having a master's in philosophy. It is the most boring subject matter. It taught me how to think. It taught me how to write really well, persuasively. It is boring. So I'm not going to pretend it's not. It's a bunch of old white men who are pontificating and talking above everyone, whatever. I was at an event a few weeks ago, and somebody made the suggestion to me in an email afterward that my books were vapid. And I started laughing because I was like, I am 1,000 times more educated than this person. And it was so insulting to reach out to me proactively and say that. And I was, ultimately, I wrote back and I was like, I'm really flattered because my entire journey with fiction is the world building. And for me, it's so important that it was accurate world building for Wall Street. So I said, thank you so much. This is the highest compliment you can give a novelist, that they've effectively created this world. So it was kind of interesting to get that feedback of someone who wasn't my target audience. They weren't going to enjoy the books. They weren't going to enjoy the premise. But I was like, I could have obviously been like, well, I'm really smart and been defensive about it. But it's like, you're not my target audience and you don't really understand what I'm trying to do here. So that was pretty funny.
Am I correctly reading between the lines that it was a man?
Yes, it was a man.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Of course it was a man.
Of course. Yeah, because who would ever email an author and be like, I hated the premise of your books? That's just really, just don't read it. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
Like, why are you going out of your way? I mean, yeah, maybe he just had a crush on you and he was like, maybe if I put her down, schoolyard thing.
Yeah. In kindergarten.
Didn't work
again.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you wrapped up the because I just wanted to ask so badly like what you thought about the dream now, like looking back. So I'm glad that now like you think it makes complete sense how you got to that conclusion.
Yeah, and maybe in a future life, I kind of, like I said, I'm kind of woo-woo, but in a future life or a past life, maybe motherhood was my journey. I just don't feel like it's aligned with what I'm building. So I think to each their own. I like children. I'm going to be your friend that takes you out for a martini after you have a baby, not who babysits. And my friends know that about me. So,
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's great. New York is also, I imagine, a decent place to be child-free.
It is. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a dog instead. We have these ridiculous teddy bear dogs who run our lives.
How long have you been in New York now?
15 years in January.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
She moved when she was 30, so you've been there your whole entire 30s.
Okay, math whiz.
I know. Sorry, I did the math.
Oh my gosh. And you still love it? You think you'll be a New Yorker for life?
I do. It's that phrase that's like, a bad day in New York is better than a good day anywhere else. I just feel like that. Even when I'm like, I have to escape and I go on a trip like a day or two in, I'm like, I miss my routine. I miss walking around the city and hearing all the noise and the insanity, all the things that we all complain about all day, every day. Like, it's just in our DNA now.
So you mentioned this a little bit, but you started off as a lawyer and a bioethicist and having worked in women's health and governmental policy. So why was the pivot into fiction writing and publishing important to you? Like, I mean, it sounded like maybe through the health scare, you kind of realized that you have one life to live, or how did that come about?
I sound insane when you read my resume out loud. I always try
Your
to
resume,
context.
I will say, like, transparently, like, your bio is one of the reasons why I was like, we have to talk to this woman. Like, because Kristen and I both consider ourselves people who have kind of meandering careers. And we've been talking about that a lot lately. So when I saw your bio, I was like, this bitch has done everything.
I mean, part of it is because I'm child free. So, I'm like, I want to do my makeup better. So I take a makeup artist course. Or I'm like, I found out I had Crohn's disease when I was 32. And I was like, I'm going to take a health coach course so that I can heal myself. And, I did that with yoga and meditation. And so that's I think one of the real benefits of being child free is that you can just continually invest in yourself and educate yourself. But yeah, so the journey was kind of interesting. I wanted to be a doctor who taught people yoga when I was in my 20s, early 20s. I was not good at chemistry or physics. A I am not a good medical student candidate or a good physician. I was a vegetarian at the time, and we had to like dissect animals. And I was like, yeah, this is not for me. But I really loved healthcare, and I felt so passionately that people should have access to healthcare. So the opportunity for this bioethics degree came up. It's a philosophy degree with a concentration in bioethics. They have a bit different setups now, but that's how it was back then. Um, and I was focused a lot on things that I felt very passionately about, like access to abortion and access to healthcare, access to clinical trials, that we should invest in stem cell research for science and therapies to be more innovative and, meeting unmet needs. I also was very passionate about healthcare and, like on the continent of Africa, I really felt that the US could help with USAID. It's kind of ironic now when you think about the path of my career, but that we as a country could really help to bring things like solid clinical trials and labs and training healthcare providers in other parts of the world. So one of my fellowships was doing research on women and children. It was bioethics research, but women and children who had HIV and AIDS in Kenya, and how we could help them kind of stop the cycle and take medicine when they didn't really want to take medicine from people that weren't from their communities. So there were a lot of really interesting overlapping things that made me love healthcare, even though I didn't want to be a doctor. And at the time, my university started a joint degree. I was like the first student in it for law and bioethics. And from there, it was really kind of an interesting path. I joined a pharmaceutical company, Eli Lilly. They had a bioethics committee. So I started working on that and helping them prepare their company policy on clinical research in developing countries and what pharmaceutical companies had as an obligation after they did research different places. It was fascinating. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I thought it was so important to have access to clinical research and to science, regardless of what your zip code was. And I feel the same about the US. These significant cuts we've had to clinical research over the past year are detrimental to the future of innovation. So we could do a whole podcast on my thoughts about what's happened in the past year. But these are significant things that result in terrible health disparities all over the world. So I went from there, I pivoted into a full-time role in the pharmaceutical industry at a company doing health policy and government affairs. So I worked with the lobbyists, I helped them, and then the patient groups understand how to navigate the legislative system, how to help Congress help patients essentially. And it was wonderful. I had a 2-decade career in the pharmaceutical industry, and I went to several different companies. I covered all different types of products, all different types of therapeutic areas and patients. And what I really loved the most was women's health. So in my early 30s, I moved to New York to work at Pfizer, and I was working on their menopause portfolio. And I obviously hadn't been through menopause yet, and I knew nothing about menopause because my mom and my grandmother went through it surgically. So I became like this little menopause scholar. I was working with a lot of the thought leaders globally and talking about how we needed more menopause education and more awareness among providers. So that just really opened the door for me to do a lot more work with women's organizations. With my background in law, I did some work with National Women's Law Center many times over the course of my career. And while healthcare was my angle, I was always so passionate about so many of the different aspects that these groups were dealing with. I worked with a gynecologist at one of the companies, and he said, the most sacred relationship is between a woman and her gynecologist. That was where women would reveal like domestic violence situations, or I don't want a kid and my husband does, or whatever the situation was. That relationship was so sacred. So then I just, really continued to build my career, enjoying being a part of anything that would help enhance our reproductive justice. You guys mentioned Roe v. Wade. That was a devastating blow to women's health. I don't think anyone should be forced to be a mother, especially if they're not ready. But, if they don't want to, regardless of what age they are, should not be forced to. So I continued throughout my career to work on all these different issues with women's health, even if I were working on a therapeutic area that was not specific to women. So, different kinds of cancer, for instance, where it's equally distributed between women and men or between races. I still always liked taking that angle with women and girls because there is such a disparity in the way that they're treated in the medical system. It takes so much longer to get a diagnosis, especially with things like heart disease and cancer and autoimmune disease. It's like, oh, you're depressed, you're overweight, go to the gym. Like, you just need to stop working so much and take better care of your family. And a lot of really insulting, dismissive things that I saw happen in the medical industry. And I just always wanted to be part of the solution where I could. And the pharmaceutical industry gave me the opportunity to do that. I did a lot of work with many different types of patient groups. It was so much fun. And then I was able to do a lot internationally as well, depending on what company I was at. The segue into publishing was kind of interesting. I left the pharmaceutical industry in my early 30s and decided like, now's my time. I'm going to have a yoga business because that's what I was passionate about in my early 20s. And I was like, I'm just kind of done with corporate America. That's what I'm going to do. And then I got a Crohn's diagnosis. So I was like, I don't know if I really am capable of dealing with other people's health. I really need to take care of my own health and get to a better place. So I had started writing this yoga book, and interestingly, because I had this block about helping other people with their health at the time, I started writing just for fun. It was the first time I'd really written for fun. And I had this character in my mind who was larger than life and who could hold her own in a room of men and who had earned a spot at the table and was going to build her own table if they didn't give her a seat. And that's really how the whole trilogy was born. I was having so much fun writing about her. If you think about it, it was probably like the, psychology of why I was doing that. I felt disempowered. I wanted to write a character that, inspired me to kind of stand up for myself and be the master of my own destiny. And at the end of the day, it became this like labor of love that I just, I decided I was writing a book. So I would tell everyone I was an author really early on. So, sort of fake it till you make it. And then at the time I was like, well, I need to do something else to kind of supplement. And I was doing litigation discovery for a big bank. So I was reading traders' emails all day. And I was like, holy shit, these guys need a woman in the room to just bust their balls. Like, they are so outrageous in all of the ways that they talk. They were doing the most outrageous things, currency fixing and stuff. And I was just like, this is crazy that there is no woman here telling them like, no, that woman at the club last night was not into you. Like, cause they're always, they're always bragging. There was always all this stuff going on. I was like, where are the women that are just telling them to like STF you? Right. So, that's how she became a hedge fund manager, was from reading those emails. I was like, we have to put this woman who's larger than life in this world. And I wanted her to be representative of women's real experiences. While, the series is very aspirational in terms of the wealth that everyone has, I did want to show her evolution, that she wasn't that different than an everyday woman and that she was relatable at the end of the day. So the series is ultimately about her. And I can give like a one blurb just really quickly for the listeners who haven't heard of the series. The Celeste Donovan series is a Wall Street thriller series. It has a luxurious revenge plot where Celeste has a very abusive ex come back into her life, and she decides that she's going to take him down after he kills her boyfriend. So it's all over the world. It's New York, it's London, it's Paris, Riyadh, Cairo. And you see this woman come from a world where she is the only person in the room who is female. And she believes that she is larger than life and that she has the power to right this wrong. And that's what I think was the big outlet for me, and the big inspiration for me was just like letting a woman write her own story and creating someone that could inspire others to stand up for themselves. So a lot of readers come to me and they're like, I was in my annual review and I wasn't getting the raise I thought I deserved. And I was like, what would Celeste do? And so people use it as an inspiration to advocate for themselves, which makes me so happy. Yeah. So anyway, it was not a linear path at all. It's not like I was in college and it's like, I have to get an MFA so I can be a novelist. It really was just this wild turn of events. I ultimately ended up going back to the pharmaceutical industry for about 13 years. And I was just writing on the side. Again, I could do that because I was child free. And then I left my full-time job in February and decided that I was finally going to fulfill my dream of publishing other authors and creating a path for other women to amplify their voices as well.
So how have you liked being in the publishing industry?
It is very different than what I am from, in the world I'm from. It's been an interesting journey. I don't want to bash on big publishing because I've not worked with traditional publishers. What I do see as an observer is that the big five publishing houses are led by men. Four out of the five of them are white men. And I wanted to create a platform where diverse voices were heard. I'm not saying that these big publishing houses don't publish diverse voices, but it is much more difficult for, a woman of color, for instance, to have equal access to a big book deal as someone else. So, and I know that a lot of women, obviously get book deals through these publishing houses, but it is such a small percentage of authors who have access to it. And I myself was confident enough in my ability to build something where I could, polish my own books. I have a team of copy editors. I hire the same cover designers that big publishing houses hire. So I feel confident that my books can stand up against any sort of competition, if you will, with more traditionally published books. And I wanted to give other people access to that. So I'm a boutique hybrid publisher. It's more of an entrepreneurial model. So I have a lot of women who either this is sort of a side project for them to amplify their platform as an entrepreneur, or they just, wanted to dabble and have decided that this is their second career. but they wanted to do it without the confines of, of a traditional publishing deal. For me personally, I wanted to publish my first novel by the time I was 40, and time passed much more quickly than I thought it would. And I was at the end of 2019, and I had turned 40, and then we ran into COVID, and I was like, the publishing industry had come to a halt, and it's really difficult to get a book deal, publish it in the same year. And I was like, I'm going to do this myself. This is my goal. This is my baby. And I want the book published when I'm 40. So that's what I did. And now I'm just so grateful that I have the opportunity to bring other voices to the table. It has been the most fun of my entire career to edit other authors and help them fulfill their dreams. Ironically, they all did know they were going to be authors, and I did not. But it's, a lifetime of writing and editing and managing people has, I think, positioned me well for this next phase. But to your earlier question about the publishing industry, I'm still learning. It's a work in progress. It's definitely a lot of gatekeeping and bureaucracy, and it's hard to navigate as someone who was used to working for really big companies, and I was the customer. So people were trying to get my business, trying to give me their business. It's a very different dynamic for authors with agents and publishing houses. So for me, it wasn't the right path. I think it's great that, they can support authors and have such a broad reach in getting books out across the world. But I do think that the independent publisher model is also really important. And then self-publishing. There are a lot of self-published authors who have, printing presses, and their amazing social media platforms are, making them independently wealthy. And I think that's really exciting to have that in addition to the traditional pathways.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I don't really know much about like the independent versus semi-independent. Like, what is the difference between those two?
So I can really just speak to what I do because there's so many different models. So I had initially described myself as self-published because that's what I did. I created an LLC, but I was only publishing myself. But now I've joined the Independent Publishers Association, and I adhere to their code of ethics and have those resources and align with that in a way that is different than how I initially published, because you do have other sort of requirements with distribution and other opportunities that I didn't have when I only had one author under my belt. So once you have a bigger portfolio, 4 to 6 authors, you have a lot more doors open to getting access to those books and getting them in front of readers. So there are a bunch of different models. I would encourage anyone who's interested in pursuing independent publishing to do a lot of research. There are, as with everything, there are amazing publishing houses that, make it accessible, and there are ones that I would find pretty unethical. So, the model is authors investing up front with their own capital. So you really want to be careful who you get into bed with and who you make a long-term relationship with your art with. So for me, it was best for me to build that environment. I have a foundation I'm building now where every sale of all of the books in the Aphrodite Books portfolio, which is the name of my publishing house, a percentage of every sale will go to the foundation which is called Aphrodite Gives. And that's really focused on supporting programs for women and girls to, to my earlier point, having access to education, sanitary napkins, which is actually a big reason why girls don't go to school when they don't have access to sanitary napkins. And that's not just outside of the US. There are a lot of programs in the US because there's a huge gap. So all of those things just felt so natural to me to pursue. And a lot of the people that have come to me and want to work with me on coaching and publishing are really excited to have a different option. So it's been exciting and a lot of learning, very humbling to learn a new industry at 45. But I'm having such fun.
So did you, let me clarify if I'm getting the timeline correct. So you were like, I want to publish by 40. So I'm going to write this book. So that was Trading Secrets. And then when did Aphrodite Books get created?
I started Aphrodite Books right when, like, I started it in February. I released the book in May of 2020. So I knew I had this little spark in my mind that I wanted to publish other authors someday, but I knew I couldn't do it while I was working in corporate America. I could barely get these 3 books out. I'm like so competitive with myself, and I'm like, God, I've only written 3 books in 5 years. Like, other authors write a book every year. But I had a really demanding
In
job.
between my legal career and my bioethicist career.
I just was like, God, what? Like, why can't I write faster? Anyway, so the first book was 2020. The second book was 2022, Risky Assets. And then the third one I just released in September, Blind Trust. So I finally have a trilogy. It's going to be much longer than 3 books, but I think having 3 makes it a legitimate series. So I was really excited this time around.
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about Celeste. I'm curious, like, for you, what was the appeal of doing an ongoing story with one main character rather than like changing the event? What about Celeste made you say, I'm going to double down on this specific story?
I loved her evolution, and I couldn't stop writing from her voice. So I wanted to see her follow all of this through. And initially I was like, oh, it'll be 3 books and I want movies. And now I'm like, I want a 6-season Netflix series and I want 6 books. So it keeps growing the more I get to know her through the series, and the more I get to know the story. There were a lot of surprising things to me in this 3rd book that you just can't foresee as an author until you're actually like ass in seat and you're writing and the story unfolds. So I just really loved her evolution. There are plenty of sort of Succession, Billions, Wolf of Wall Street type stories, but so few of them have women at the center. And I liked having this very powerful woman who had a dark past and had to navigate the things that every woman has to navigate. She I do have a trigger warning with my books. There is some sexual violence. She's a survivor of sexual assault. And for me, it was so important to use her platform to show that a very strong, powerful woman experienced the same things as other women. And I cannot tell you how many women have approached me and thanked me for including that, because they were like, I just thought that it happened to me because I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't successful enough, or, all the things that women think after they experience trauma. They were like, having this character, even though it was make believe, really made me feel like I could be, I could see myself in her, and I could be the strong woman who did not let this past experience, change the trajectory of my life in too negative of a way. So I loved her evolution. I loved having a platform to I didn't want to write a serious book about women's rights. I'd read all of those. I have a liberal arts degree. I've read all of those sort of theses on feminism and women's studies, and they're interesting and they're great, but the masses aren't reading them. And I can really reach more of the masses and make arguments about why Planned Parenthood funding is important when you see something like this in entertainment versus a book that, a few college students are going to read and not really have the platform that mainstream commercial fiction does.
Have you talked to anybody about a TV series yet, or movie series yet, or are you waiting till you do your 6 books to open that door?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. So I have had some conversations. That's another industry that is completely outside of my familiarity. But it's been really exciting. I did do some of the casting. So I have a colleague who works at Netflix, and he was like, you really need to get clear on who your wish list of talent is. They use language that I didn't know existed. So I spent a few weekends ago, I sat on the couch, I watched a bunch of movies. I had like a PowerPoint and I mapped out a lot of the characters that I would want, and who I would want to play the different characters. It's funny because I started writing this in 2012. So I had all these characters in mind and now I'm old, they're old, like the time passed. These characters are in their
Right.
40s, and I'm like, I wanted Denzel in it. I'm like, well, Denzel is like, he could be their dad at this point. So no shade to Denzel. I love Denzel Washington, but I'm too old to be in the books now. So I'm like, man, I really should have written faster. So I had to.
Who's on your wish list for Celeste, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I don't. So there are four that I really love, and you've read some of it. So if you have any different ideas, I'm always open. So the top contender in 2012 was Charlize Theron. So I thought that she had the emotional range and the presence to be Celeste. Now I think that the other three, I think there's a front runner, but the other three that are on my list are Jessica Chastain, Jodie Comer, and Margot Robbie. Jessica Chastain,
Oh.
yeah. Jessica Chastain. So the character was always blonde in my mind and in the books. And Jessica Chastain has been blonde recently. And she was the one who I really thought could do the range of scenes. So, there is, like I mentioned, sexual violence, there is other violence, there's murder, there's a lot of different things in the series. And, if you look at her in Molly's Game or Zero Dark 30 or some of these other movies that she's been in, her range is so broad. So I thought she's my top choice today.
I love that. That's so fun.
Yeah. Phenomenal actresses.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
I'm curious too, because you've had such an interesting career, like, how do you see the choice to not have children as shaping your creative life and career? Are there any, I mean, obviously, but we always kind of teeter this line because it's like, you don't want to suggest that women can't do these things if they have kids, but also recognizing that the choice does open you up to a lot. So are there freedoms you appreciate, trade-offs you reflect on, or any unexpected benefits that you have discovered?
This is a big reason why I like coaching authors, because when you are child free, even if you're working full time or juggling school or, a significant other living far away or whatever it is that you're juggling, you do have this luxury of a lot more time for yourself. So I can do a reel on Instagram or TikTok and be like, oh, if you're really committed to writing, you just need to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning and, write a few chapters before you go to work. If you have children, you hate me, right? Like you're not listening to any more of my content. And, I run into that where I want to be a support system and a partner for people who don't have the luxury to just cobble together a couple of hours every single day to learn how to write, to learn how to publish, and those different, skill sets you really have to build. So I like being that support system for people that don't have the luxuries I have, where, I can travel for 3 weeks to launch my book and not have to ask anyone's permission and not have to, juggle getting back home at night for put my kids to bed or things like that. So, I mean, I do have a dog that she's very needy, probably as much so
You have to put her to
as
bed.
a toddler. Oh my God, she's so aggressive. Like at 10 o'clock, she's sighing and like looking at the bedroom door, like, why are we not in bed yet? She's so aggressive.
That's so funny.
So for me, it was really having the luxury of that time before work every day where I could say, I can write a book in a month, honestly, like, and people balk at that, but it's not like I'm a savant. It's just that, which you'll learn if you go to law school, Erica, like if you want to be a masochist, you can. And I would get up at 4 in the morning I'd write until 8. I didn't have a great quality of life in that month, but I'd get up at 8 or go to work at 8, get home at 5 and write until midnight and then get up and edit what I wrote. So you can't do that if you have kids. And you shouldn't do it if you don't have kids. So I do not condone my practices. But I do judge the commitment as similar to if you're training for a marathon or you're getting a degree. And if you have other humans who depend on you for life and happiness and sustenance, you do have more to juggle. So I'm not saying that life is completely roses when you don't have children and you're pursuing these different things, but it really is a commitment that affects your whole family if you do decide to do it. So my vision is really to be a support for the people who don't have the luxury of writing 8-10 hours a day in between work because they have other responsibilities, to help them also live out their dreams. I have a friend, she's actually my first author, with the publishing house. She has children's books about running, and she's an elite marathon runner and a coach now. She was running hair salons for 20 years and training for marathons. So she was going to bed at 7:30 at night and waking up at 4:30 in the morning. And that is really a commitment that your entire family has to process. Dinner's early for the kids, like you're up before anyone else and falling asleep at 7 p.m. So I've heard her story and others where when you are juggling children, you have a different, it's a different calculation. So I am grateful that I have been able to do that, but I want to kind of pay it forward for others and help them. I don't think less is more with the number of voices that we need in the world. I think most people should write at least one book and have their voice shared and their perspectives and their stories. So I never want to discourage others from writing. And that's another reason I don't like the bureaucracy of traditional publishing, because I think we need more voices, not less. And I think we need more people feeling empowered to share what they're meant to say.
I love that. So for folks who may be questioning the socially dictated path, what do you wish someone had told you, especially in terms of identity, community, and self-worth? What advice would you give to folks who feel boxed in by traditional expectations and are looking to carve out their own path?
The most surprising thing for me at this point in my life is how many people I'm surrounded by that are choosing to be child-free. I always thought that I would be the only one, and I am the only one in certain rooms, right? But I have a lot of friends who are choosing at much younger ages than I am to remain child-free, and we have a community of people that will always be able to travel with me there's that joke on, I'm sure you guys have seen the meme where it's like, hey, do you guys want to go to Africa Sunday? So I actually have a group of friends like that where we can just kind of drop everything and go travel and take a nice trip. So
yes, the best.
Yeah. So that's one of the biggest surprising things to me is like, you're not going to be alone. I had someone say, who's going to come to your funeral if you don't have children? Like, who's going to take care of you? And I was like, the flight attendants and the nursing home employees. And like, I don't know, I'm going to be dead. I don't really care who's at my funeral. Like, I just don't look at it like that. Like, I look at it like I can invest differently in my community than I could if I had several children and a husband to juggle. So I choose that. And I think that if people felt more comfortable knowing that they would have that community, they'd probably be more comfortable making the choice. So I feel very strongly that people should make the choice that works for them. I have a friend who's 30 and she wants 5 kids. So I'm like, all right, you need to start dating seriously. And you need to, if you want to have a child with someone, like, and you want 5 kids, like, let's do it. So
you're project managing.
Yeah, I'm like project managing. And then I have friends who are like, I never want to get married, or I want to have an open marriage, and I definitely don't want children. Like, I think women should have whatever path they want. And I think that's what real feminism is, versus like, you either have to stay home and be a trad wife or you have to have a career. You can have the life you want. You just have to remain committed to it. And say no to anything that doesn't align with that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. This has been so much fun, and you're such an inspiration. I know that this is going to be so resonant to a lot of our community.
Thanks for having me. I love the platform you guys have. It's so unique and so necessary. So thank you for creating this space.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Rachael Eckles. I am the author of the Celeste Donovan series. I just recently released the third book in the trilogy, Blind Trust, in September. And I'm the founder and publisher of Aphrodite Books and founder of Aphrodite Gives Foundation. I dinked myself recently by traveling for a month to celebrate my book release and leaving my full-time job for a second career without consulting anyone or wondering what the impact would be on anyone else. So it was an indulgent luxury that I'm very grateful I've been able to do.
Yay! Living the dreams. Yes.
All right. Thanks for listening. That was fun. She really inspires me. She really inspires me to want to have every career on the face of the planet.
Yeah, truly. I mean, it's nice to meet somebody who matches our energy of just like, fuck it, let's do it, let's try it.
Do what you want,
See if it works out. Yeah.
Yeah, love that. Dinky is a podcast on the Spreaker Prime Network. Many thanks to Chloe Steinhoff-Smith for our podcast art, Leah Herder for creating our show's theme and interview transition music, and Vince Shortino for audio mixing and editing. I tried to keep that very even because in a previous episode that I was listening to, you criticized me for giving favoritism to Vince.
Oh, thank you. It's very unbiased and I felt it.
Thank you. I'm a neutral source. I feel nothing. I am AI.
We should know.
Were you going to say we should have an entire episode of just AI, Kristen and AI
I was thinking
Erica?
at least like an outro to see like what it would be like. I would just be curious to see like what the fuck it would produce. But I think you have to feed it a script, don't you?
I think we could probably feed it past episodes. But I don't really want to do that.
And then tell it to, it would be, I mean,
to create a new episode.
Everyone's going to fucking kill us for even suggesting this. And it's just hypothetical. We're not doing it, everyone. So relax.
Just an idea.
Just fucking chill. But it would be funny to see what AI would come up with for like, based on previous outros. Like,
yeah. It probably would be like
what it would do.
A Dink Yourself segment would probably be me being like, I went to the food pantry and I gave blood, and yours would be like, I just spent $5,000 buying the largest cheese wheel on the face of the planet.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Want to connect with us on social media? You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Substack. If you have a question or a comment, email us. You know what? I think people have gotten the message because we have not really gotten an emailed question in a while. We've gotten some nice things.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we've gotten some nice feedback from people. Thank you, people, for emailing. And some folks, too, who are in Europe who have been so thoughtful about, like, trying to, you know, some people have been like, hey, let's hang out, which is so nice. And damn it, I kind of wish you lived in Berlin or Dublin, not Berlin, everyone, because everyone from Berlin has been emailing me. Nobody from Dublin. So, yeah, if there's any cool people in Dublin who are not psycho, stalker, gonna murder me people, let me know. Email me.
And if there's any psycho sucker people who want to kill Kristen, email me. I can help arrange the hit.
You could organize. Thank you. I'm going to forward this piece to your job interview at the Justice Department of Oregon. Whatever. Criminal. Who is it now? The criminals? You're going to work for the criminals? Criminal department?
Criminals of Justice. That actually sounds like something I would start, the Criminals of Justice League.
It literally sounds like you.
Yeah. If you're a fan of the show, woo-wee, get evaluated for your mental health. Then remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with your friends.
With a friend.
With a friend. You guys, the holidays are coming up, and you know that means one thing. You need merch.
Mm-hmm.
Tell your partner, your friend, whoever that you want dinky merch. You can find the link in our show notes.
Yeah, we got pictures of us being priests in the dinky merch.
We do? You actually made a shirt of that?
Have you not looked at our merch recently, bro?
No, I have not. No, I have not.
You have not been paying attention. So,
wow.
Are you looking at it?
Wow. Has anyone bought this?
I don't know.
Oh my god, that is psychotic. When did you do that?
That was like a while ago. It was a request from the Discord.
I remember the request, but I didn't know that you actually did it.
I fulfill on Discord requests. That's the other thing. If you join the Discord, if you haven't already, I take custom requests for your merch.
Yeah, she really does.
So,
I honestly wonder if you should remove the background so that it's just us, but I don't know if that would be crazy.
Oh, maybe, yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that.
I think the printing for that green stuff is going to be really crazy.
Yeah.
Look at us brainstorming merch right here on the pod. We haven't even plugged the fucking Patreon.
I literally just did that.
I know, but in our show notes, there's no Patreon plug right now.
Yeah, that's weird.
Anyway, join the Patreon, take a trip with us. All of that and more can be found at dinkypod.com.
Woo!
Anything else you want to say? You bitch.
No, I'm gonna work on removing. I'm gonna work on. Sorry, that was me coughing, but screaming at the same time. I'm gonna work on removing the background so that we are proper Pope priest people without a background.
Wow. All right. Well, go look at our merch to see that beautiful creation. I'm gonna work on removing your larynx. Love ya.
Thank you.
Dink life.